And welcome back to Smooth Talk, everybody. I'm your host, Taylor, with your other host, John. We just want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor. We want to thank Steve at Showcase Sedalia. If you don't know, Showcase Sedalia is an advertising magazine. It connects local shoppers with local businesses here in the Sedalia, Nom area. They directly mail to over 14,000 families. It's a wonderful magazine. Does a phenomenal job. If you have any questions or anything on that, please contact Steve, 816-448-1474. Once again, that is Steve at Showcase Sedalia. 816-448-1474.
We also want to give a quick shout out to Bob and Amy at Forever 10 Gaming. Please go there for all your card shop needs, including Pokemon, Digimon, or Magic, dice, or boxes. If you need to get a hold of them at Forever 10, the number is 660-851-2201.
And we also want to thank Brian there at GNC Sedalia and Osage Beach. Me and John are up here at Sedalia. You can contact us at 660-826-7003. Or you can contact Brian and Christian if you're in the Osage Beach area at 573-302-7415. And we thank you, Brian. So we're just kind of going to get this rolling in here today. Like I said, we want to welcome Kyle Bean. Thank you so much for being here, my man. If you don't know, Kyle Bean is the owner of Jeans, Boots, and Hats here in Sedalia. And we want to thank you for being here, my man. Like I say, it's kind of short notice, a little bit late, but we appreciate you being here, kind of getting this thing rolling. Now, just kind of starting this off. So, you're the owner of Jeans, Boots, and Hats. How long have you been the owner?
Been the owner about 4.5 years now.
4.5 years.
Yep, managed it for about 9.5.
Managed it for 9.5. So you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, for a while, almost a decade.
Gotcha. Now, being the owner and everything like that, are you kind of in control of everything now? I mean, do you try to take care of all of it? I mean, how much of a workload do you put on yourself?
I pretty much take care of all of it. It's all on me. I do everything from the hiring to outdoor paperwork down to you just coming in and you seeing me and trying to make sure you get you out in the right product. So I mean, I go from being on the floor to doing all the paperwork at home to managing the employees and so on and so forth.
Gotcha. Now, how old are you now?
I'm 31.
31. All right. So we're all basically the same age here. That's awesome. So 9.5 years been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So are you originally from here?
I'm not. I am from Lake of the Ozarks. I spent most of my growing up days, I guess.
Oh, lake guy. I got you. So what part of the lake are you from?
Horseshoe Bend's kind of where I live.
Horseshoe Bend. I got you. Now, was you on the water or was you just kind of around the area?
Yeah, I mean, I was in a community that was on the water. I had a community dock, so technically my house was not on the water.
Gotcha.
After the 6th grade, it was. Before the 6th grade and earlier, it was. But after that, we moved and had a different house.
I got you. So you got lake life, cowboy life, kind of all mixed in there together.
Yeah, a little bit of both. Yep.
I got you. So, I mean, being at the lake and everything. Now, what kind of lake lifestyle did you adapt? Was you more like on the fisherman aspect, or was you more like, oh, let's get on the wave runners and the jet skis, speedboat, loud and fast? What are you all about?
Yeah, I definitely was more into the boating than I was into fishing. Not that I didn't fish; I fished plenty, but I definitely like to get out there with friends and just kind of get on a boat and do what we could out there. Do ski, wakeboard, whatever we get kind of trouble we can get into, even just swim.
There you go.
It was a good time.
Awesome. Now, did y'all have boats and everything?
We did have a boat. We had like a 32-foot. It was Mariah at the time. It was 1999. So I don't even know if that company is in business anymore, but it was a really nice boat at the time. We were pretty proud of that boat.
There you go. Heck yeah. That's awesome, man. So how long have you been up around here?
I've been here since the end of 2013.
Since the end of 2013, and you live up here in Sedalia now? Or
Yep. I live just outside of town. Still technically a Sedalia address, but I'm right here with everybody else. Yep.
I got you. Now, do you do any kind of like farming or anything like that? Do you try to mess with that at all?
I don't farm. I have 3 horses. I have 10 acres, and we got 3 horses. Definitely more my wife's doing than me, but I've taken on the lifestyle with her, and we enjoy it. It's pretty fun.
Well, I don't blame you. I think horses are just the most awesome animals there are. They all have their unique personality to them. And, we did talk a little bit before we started the podcast, and it's one of those where I do just think it's amazing the trust that they have in you and the trust that you put into them, whether it be on a trail ride, crossing a lake or river, and they're going up to their knees in water. They do it. They just do it for you, and that bond is amazing. Now,
if you got a good horse and had a good trainer,
absolutely, yeah, and the rider at trust. Yep.
And I told you, and I know I told you, as like after my first trail ride, my inner thighs beat up, couldn't walk for like 2 days without looking awkward and whatnot. But what is crazy to me about horses though? So when we were younger, Taylor dated a cowgirl, and we went to a couple rodeos, and I watched not bull riding, but
Barrel racing.
no, the horse when
Bronc ride.
Bronc
Oh,
riding.
okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
I would rather ride a bull than to ever get on a bronc.
Oh man.
I was like I watched this guy go. I don't even know 12 feet in the air, and I was just like, oh no, absolutely not. I was like, I'll take the bull, but that's just me.
No, I wouldn't take either. I would think anybody that gets on them, those are men among men. That's showing what they really are, and good for them. That's not something I want to do on a horse or bull like that.
Have they ever come in the shop like
Oh,
all
yeah.
bruised up and just like, oh man,
I
can't
don't know it
move?
all bruised up, but I mean, I definitely see them. Those guys are another breed. I'm proud to say that I get the experience to talk to them, but that is their profession, not mine.
Oh man. Well, and it's such an impressive profession too. I mean, completely insane in my book. I mean, you almost have to be, to try to get on an animal like that.
Yeah.
Whether it's a bull or a horse or any of it. I mean, even the roping. I mean, the technicality in that is just insane. It's impressive to watch. And I tried to watch as much NFR as I could this year. And,
Sure.
And it was absolutely amazing. Watching that. But yeah, I mean, talking about like the bronc riding or the bareback, things like that. It's just what a rough ride. I mean, you see a lot of them get it done, which is amazing. I mean, that is kind of the cool thing about, like bareback or bronc, things like that, or the saddle bronc, that kind of thing. It's like they ride a lot of them, and you can really tell the good riders from the bad riders, and good, you can tell good bull riders from bad bull riders too, but there's also times when it's like, you can tell, I mean, there's so much luck in there too. I mean, kind of like the old things, like I'd rather be lucky than good any day. It's like, there's a little stroke of luck, I think, with every 8-second ride, regardless of what you're on.
Absolutely. I think with any sport, really, I mean, your preparation is where you get luckier. Just the better you are at what you do, somehow luck comes a little more to you because you get that little edge.
Well, and that's kind of the neat thing about a lot of like rodeo people in general. It's like a lot of them are like fairly little. They're not huge muscle bound guys like what you would think would want to do something like
but
that.
They're tough as nails.
No,
They're tougher than nails. But it's like a lot of them say, it's like you don't want all that weight, because it's all about balance. And, like a lot of them say, you're dancing with. It's like a dance partner, you have to kind of follow and, let it lead and things like that. It's
you got to be able to move. That's the key thing. They move up there rather more than you know they do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's about shifting weight as needed. So it takes a lot of skill and talent. Those guys are impressive.
Oh, man. The bullfighters.
There's
That,
a special
man.
kind of guy to do that too.
Oh, dude.
Maybe even more special than me.
Exactly.
Was
It's
it
like-
rodeo poker? Is that, or what is it called?
They got poker. They got pinball out there. You never know
they
what
got all
each one.
kinds.
Yeah, putting a bunch of guys out there, just putting them in front of a bull with some big old horns.
I tell you, the wildest thing around here, though, honestly, is like with the Pilot Grove Rodeo.
Mhm.
Whenever they do the wild cow milking,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
what's insane.
So explain that.
So wild cow milking, basically, it's like two people. You got like you and a partner, and one of you has to try and kind of like stop it and like try to wrestle it a little bit, so the other one can get underneath it and milk a cow to try to get some in a cup. And like you have to like fill the cup or something like that, or get it so full, and it's like, and then you win. But I mean, the cows are just freaking out. I mean, people are getting stomped and throwed and ran over. It is just insane. But I mean,
Fun to watch.
I mean, people
Well, that's
love
great.
it.
That's great for your business. Like,
Yeah.
tear them up.
Yeah.
Gonna need a new shirt tomorrow.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, most of them are so drunk it don't even matter. They ain't gonna feel it till the next day.
Yeah. That's kind of the point in doing it. You got to be a little drunk and a little crazy to do it. So.
Exactly. So like speaking of like like rodeo times and things like that. I mean, is that just like an insane business spike? I mean, can you plan around a lot of those events? That are fairly local.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the February one that we just had
Right.
is by far our best one of the year. I mean, they hands down. We've been a partner with them. I think 23, 24 years. I mean, it's been a long time. It might be longer than that. I lose track of. I just know I'm going to be a sponsor every year when they come into town.
Exactly.
We sold the tickets for them, and that helped bring those guys in and make sure those people were coming in to see us.
Right.
And people that aren't necessarily Western come in to buy those tickets, and they look around. They're like, all right, let me see what you got. And
Oh,
so,
for sure.
so it is super important to the ecosystem of our business to have that kind of thing in town. And I think you can't have enough of it. I mean, I really think the more we can have is the better. But I mean, you still got to get people to be able to come, contestants, and they got to spread that out to different towns too. So,
Well, I came into your store the other day. I got this shirt. I know that these hats are from your store as well. We appreciate you bringing them. We
thank you
love
so much,
repping
man.
them.
Love them, dude. They're awesome.
You look good in them. Yeah.
Thank you.
thank
you
you.
too, man. That
Feel
being-
like a cowboy.
I tell you what. Well, that's what I said. When I got into his store, I was instantly like, I should have been a cowboy. And, I'm like looking for my 6-shooter. But I will say that I was actually overwhelmed. It was such a beautiful store. And you've taught me a little bit already because as I was looking at the hats, I didn't even know what the hat band was called. It was so simple.
Yeah.
And but I was looking at your cowboy hats. I'm looking at your jeans. I'm looking at all the beautiful boots and just the wallets. And you told me you have belt buckles. I missed them. I mean, I was so tranced by everything else. I missed a lot of things, but beautiful, beautiful store, and the authenticity of it is just way up there. And watching you in your craft, because when I came in, I was going to talk to you a little bit about the podcast. Watching you and your sales team was a real treat because me and Taylor being salesmen, we've seen good and bad. And,
You see
I
a lot
think,
more bad than good
and
nowadays.
I look at it as a kind of like a badge of honor for the town. When you see good salespeople that have been around, want their business to work, just want to lift the town up, and watching your staff, that's what I saw. And on top of that, I did want to say that guy that came in, I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but he wanted the black cowboy boots.
Yep.
What is the color? What is the color for hats, boots? What do you think is the go-to?
I mean, absolutely right now, best selling color of boot is brown.
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 There you go. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong.
It's going to be that. It just is what it is. The dominant toe right now is definitely the wide square toe too.
I was gonna say that really took off. I mean, it's kind of been. I mean, I wear square-toed boots now, and I couldn't even tell you the first time I saw a square-toed boot. I mean, nobody had boots like that.
No.
And then all of a sudden you start seeing them, and I was like, whoa, And at first you think they're kind of silly looking. Like I remember that's what my first thought was like. All right, like it's different, And
Yeah.
I think the ones I saw were like ropers, So they were shotgunned. I got to see them. They were good-looking boots,
Yeah.
I mean, they're proud of them. You could tell,
For sure, yeah.
But it's still one of those where it's like it's such a fashion trend now. It's like you don't hardly see cowboy boots that aren't hardly square-toed anymore.
Yeah.
Or you're just your average boot.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a dress boot or a dance boot, something like that, I mean, definitely that's going to be a little different. You can definitely see that,
For sure. Yep.
But do you think because of like you say, like it's brown, and brown, do you think it's just because the fashion of like a cowboy boot just kind of can go with anything?
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
mean, look at. I mean, people wear cowboy boots with everything. I mean,
Yep.
things they shouldn't even nowadays.
Right.
I mean, in the jorts. I mean, I've seen that so many times, but not with women, with men.
Right. Right.
I wish we could shotgun all the boots. I want
That's another thing. What is your take on that? Being a Western store man, you've been around, you've had this lifestyle forever. It's been in your family.
Yep.
What is your take on shotgun and boots? It's kind of one of the, okay, because here's my thought about it. I've never been a fan of it, and I tell you why. It's because I wasn't a bull rider. I was always like, all right, I see a bull rider do it, if they're tying on their spurs and things like that, they're shotgunning their boots, jeans in there. I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that, make sure they're not getting hung up on nothing. It's like, it always made sense. I'm like,
Right.
But if I ain't riding or doing anything, it's like, well, I don't feel like it's necessary. But when I got a really good looking pair of ropers, it was one of those where I'm like, man, I want to show them off. You know what I mean? It's like they were such a cool, like olive green with designs and stuff. I'm like, I wanted to shotgun them all the time, but I get self-conscious. Like I'd shotgun them, I'd walk out of the house, I'd be so proud, and like before I'd walk out anywhere, I'm like, tuck my boots and tuck my jeans,
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a personal choice. I think there's a lot of people that do shotgun them, as you say, but I think I would say most people do not. It's a pretty unnormal thing. I would say people that ride a lot wear buckaroos and that 16-inch boots go up right to the knee. That's the point of wearing that kind of boot as well. well.
Right.
Is to have it like that. But I mean, those are usually situational.
Now, wasn't that kind of the whole thought process behind the cowboy boot? I mean, wasn't that kind of the thing back in the day? It was more for like protection, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, general idea. Yeah, it's better for riding. It's just the way it is going up against those horses. You don't get caught up that way. To keep the chance at bay, really.
Right, right.
So yeah, that's the general idea. I mean, I don't think people are doing the extreme. Not okay. So there are those out there doing extreme things. I don't think it's the normal lifestyle anymore. I mean, it used to be you did everything you would on any kind of you could do stuff on ATVs that you used to do on horses. You
Yeah.
could do- I mean, so equipment has really evolved how we ranch and farm.
Oh yeah, I mean,
so I don't think it's as prevalent as it was.
well, I mean, and you see that a lot nowadays. I mean, it's kind of neat, like seeing shows like Yellowstone, and shows like what Taylor Sheridan has made, kind of showing that ranch lifestyle, where they're on horseback, they're
Yep.
doing old school things like that. And it's really cool to watch. I mean,
It's awesome, yeah.
you can see how much people really appreciate it because the reality of nowadays, I mean, you don't see men on horseback no more. I mean, they're on side by side, they're in pickups.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the normality. Even I mean, for around here, it's kind of always been like that. It
Yeah.
seems like as far as I can remember.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're-
nobody really farmed on horseback.
I mean, there was a time. I mean, even the guy, even my tax guy, it was what he did. When he was young, he tells me all the stories about it. He just a guy in town. He didn't tell me who it was, but he said that at a younger age, he moved cattle for this guy, and he was on horseback every day.
Right.
I mean, and he'll tell you he wish he wasn't on a horse as much as he was, as he wishes he wasn't on that horse as much.
Right.
If his body is affected by that in his old age, but he enjoyed being able to help people. And you don't get that anymore. That kind of person is maybe you call it soft, you call it whatever you change. It's more about getting the job done now instead of being practicality.
Exactly. I think we just kind of look for more efficient ways of doing things, and if it's quicker,
It's important to get it done efficiently.
Exactly. And I mean, and we all have to do it. We all have to adapt to the time.
Yep.
With certain things. I mean, we can hold off strong on certain, but
Well,
man.
one like on that topic, I think about a long billfold. They were designed basically for checkbooks. My dad bought me one that I had for the better part of 15 to 18 years. And I had to retire it, but I remember having checks. But here's the thing, I still love long billfolds.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah.
Whether or not it's for a checkbook or not, I think they're great.
you sell more of those than any other style in the store right now. Trifold, bifold, money clip, all that, anything like that. So that it's got a lot of Western flair to it. You can do a lot with it.
I saw them as soon as I walked in the door. I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
who's gonna get me? And a lot of you said it right earlier, flair. Like I love cowboy flair.
Yeah.
I know because I'm not a cowboy. I'm not going to claim to be. But if I had to be, I would look like George Strait in Pure Country
Yeah.
when he's dusty and he's up on stage. That would be me.
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
playing the part. But and I told you, it's like turquoise is my color.
Yeah.
I'll put turquoise on everything. You know.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's pretty cool to watch how even since I've been there in the 9.5 years, how it's evolved into. I mean, it's wild. I mean, floral is super popular now in Western clothes. Which, I mean, just think, almost people call it Hawaiian. I mean, really, they put this kind of Navajo or whatever you want to call it, some kind of, could be the Indian pattern, even that I'm wearing.
Mhm.
They've been able to integrate that with other versions of like Hawaiian patterns, things like that, and it's very cool to watch this, how well people adapt the ideas of it. It looks really good. Everybody looks it's really good going out there. You're not wearing plain old plaids all the time before. It's a lot
No,
of
I
cool
didn't.
stuff.
I didn't see everything. I told you that. I was in a trance going through your
Yeah.
store. Do you guys have vests?
Well, absolutely, we got vests. Yeah, I mean, we have anything like soft shell vests. We have some leather vests in there. I mean, we can order anything. We have a full vest. But, we can order a lot more than we have.
Because that'd be my second look. I'd like
Yeah,
a nice
yeah.
flannel and then put the vest on.
There you go.
You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have to get this hat. You know.
Yeah,
You know.
we can get you looking good.
Yes, yeah. See, I would be like the double denim guy.
All denim on denim. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Just denim on denim.
The
Just
guys
get
that
it
pull
on.
it off are great. It's not me.
Yeah,
But
right.
I'm like, man, every time they walk in, I'm like, man, you look good in that.
Is it a tassel? Is that what they call it?
You're talking like the tie?
Yeah.
The bolo tie.
Bolo
Yeah,
tie.
yeah,
I
yeah.
want it.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what's actually really incredible is I still have like some shirts, some old like cowboy western shirts that were my grandpa's back in the day.
Yep.
Now I'm a little bit bigger nowadays. I can't fit in a lot of them, but there's a few of them that I can still wear. And like they're kind of old school, retro looking, kind of like your shirts, you know. And like I'll wear them out, and somebody, you know, and it'll be pearl snaps. I mean, they're legit old school shirts.
Yeah,
and somebody will see it and be like, "Damn, that's really cool. Where'd you get that?" And I'm
Old
like,
guys knew how to dress.
"Yeah," and I'm like, "This thing is older than me and you put together, bud."
Yep.
You know, I mean, and people's like, "Wow."
Yeah,
And I'm like, you see a lot of that coming back.
I mean, it hurts me in a way, but at the same time, I mean, the thrift stores are living off that right now. I think a lot of people can go get pretty cheap Western shirts from the time that it has been away for a while, and it kind of it almost come back into style. So
Right.
So they.
But the thing about that, though, I mean, there's a good and bad to that, though, too. You know, because even though I have it and it's retro and it's legit, it's old school and it's cool.
Yep.
It's sketchy to wear it because I can feel that it's like it's getting old, it's getting a little bit thin. You're like, like I don't want to get too rowdy in it, you know?
Right.
And then there's times when it's like I'm looking at some of them shirts like that, and I'm like, man, I wish I could have that similar style shirt, but new and in my size.
Yeah.
And that's where, you
Come
know,
in.
yeah, that's where the beauty of your business comes into play. You know,
that's what we're here for.
And can you get pearl snaps?
Oh, we have pearl snaps stored out. Yeah. So
well, that's always been there, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It will never go out. I will say buttons have definitely had it's taken over some portion that it didn't have in the Western world before. Ariat and Cinch are two of the bigger brands for clothing right now, and they definitely are big into buttons. But they have great Western flair still. But you know, Wranglers, Ropers, Panhandles, a lot of those companies been around a long time. Those guys still make pearl snaps. Best of them. They're great.
And you have their sales reps come to you.
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah, all of the guys come. Well, I say all of them. Most of them come see me. It's pretty cool to be able to experience that in a way. You know, we're not just a big corporate store that gets to look through catalogs or gets shipped whatever our corporate tell us to get.
You're in control of your inventory.
Absolutely, I see it. I buy it. I get to talk to these sales reps about what they think needs to be in the store. What I get to communicate with them. What I think our area gets to is better with, because it is a little bit one Western store to the next not the same. People in that area are not the same as the people in a different area, even just 45 minutes away. What we sell is different than what those people sell. So it's an experience that is going to be a little more personalized.
Now, have you noticed? With that being said, have you noticed any trends that are picking up now that like you're seeing a little bit more often?
Yeah, I mean, the changes that I've seen even in the recent, I would say more toe options are kind of coming back. So, square toe has been dominant for a good time. But I would say smaller squares, kind of more traditional J, R toes, which are kind of semi-round toes, for what those are, they're becoming more prevalent. I think some suedes are coming in, which are pretty neat, because suede has been pretty irrelevant for a while. And so the fact that those are becoming relevant again, people just can have so many different options on their feet. You never know what you're going to see next time.
Now, do you see, like speaking of trends, like kind of talking on that same topic, like when you're seeing these trends change and like evolve into different styles and, platforms, things like that, what is leading that change more? Like, do you see it more in like women's or men? Or is it a good split in that Western wear?
I'd say it's a pretty good split. It's funny how separated they are from each other. Women and men are even if it's all Westerns, so it's all in the same family, are pretty different. I mean, I think men's jeans of the slimmer fit has kind of come around, where it used to be black fit.
Exactly.
Slimmer fits have come in. Where in women's right now, the jeans are definitely getting wider. They're not getting as tight fitting. The legs are definitely flaring out. So
you can see that a lot.
Yeah, because you have a couple of your employees that come into our store, and I saw that today, and I couldn't help but look, and I was looking at the bottoms, and I'm just like, oh, that's cool.
Yep.
That's
different. It's old school looking. And it's still a really cool fashion, and it's a unique fashion.
Yeah,
you can kind of tell it apart from anything else.
Yep.
That's what's cool about it, because you can, just seeing the difference, with like what they're wearing versus, just like a regular. It's one of those where it's like you can tell that fashion, like what that is.
Yes.
There's no like second guessing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know it's Western.
Oh, exactly.
Can you get now? This might be crazy. Can you get like authentic like snake skin still? Like
absolutely, yeah. I know right now I have a women's corral in the store that is a python right now.
Wow.
It's no real python, but it definitely is out there. I would say snakeskin's been actually requested more recently than it had been for more of my early time here at the store. But I mean, exotics are great.
Yeah, is crocodile or alligator?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
is that a thing?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I personally have a wide scale alligator boot. I think Cayman's more steam, which is more smaller alligators. Scaling's a little different. It's more common, but definitely alligator. Ostrich is probably in the number one exotic, and it may never change. It's just a good exotic, it's really affordable.
What is the most exotic food you've seen?
I mean, the most exotic boot I've seen. I've seen some interesting ones. I actually have a pair of my grandmother's boots that are manta ray. Those are pretty unique.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are very unique.
You said manta ray?
Yeah, like the fish. Yeah, it's something else. They're pretty cool. I don't get kind of like a display.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, not that everybody probably feels great about this. I'm actually wearing an elephant right now. So
really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it's
Take it off.
Yeah.
Let's see it. I want to see it.
All right.
Just
Yeah,
show it to the
we have
camera.
to see it,
We're
yeah.
here. I want to see it.
They let the people see it. Oh wow!
Oh,
look at that,
look
dude.
At that.
Oh wow!
That.
Yeah, that's Finoglio, which is actually a newer company that's out there right now. I had this custom made, so that company I had a color custom made. I had stitching all the way up here is all unique to my boot. No one else has. I made the
Dude, that
toe,
is
made
boss,
the sole,
man.
I did it all. So
I mean, that is dude.
And this is what I'm saying about shotgunning. This is why I think shotgunning needs to be a thing because I want to see that.
Show that boot off, yeah.
Exactly. That's like my point. It's like, oh, you got something like that. You almost want to show that off all the time, you know?
It's a pretty cool thing. I'm pretty proud of these guys. I don't wear them.
Wow.
I wear them enough, but I don't wear them. I don't wear them every day. I don't want them to wear out. So elephant is out there. I think it's not like what you think. It's not just. I think a lot of the programs can get into being able to buy elephant or more of it's like dying elephants or poached elephants. It's the way that they can people that are selling them or conservatories in Africa, things like that.
Yeah, my uncle. Okay, so he actually hunted. He was a big game hunter, and a lot of times what people don't realize is that these elephants are on their way out, or like he did lions. Same thing. They're the ones that are kind of really on their last days.
Yep.
And they do that. But with elephants, because he has done an elephant himself, like you said, they're going to use all the meat. Mm-hmm. These aren't just going to waste. Right. These aren't just like freshly brand new elephant at 5 years old. It's like these are the older ones. These are ones that, like, if they die in the wild, it all goes to waste.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to get cold regardless.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're going to go ahead and they're going to get stuff like that. And they're going to just make the most out of what is actually Mother Nature and the circle of life. But those are amazing.
Yeah, dude, those are really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate you actually taking them off. I was like, I didn't mean to like, oh, take them off. Like, I was like, no, I want to see them. It's like, that's awesome because people should actually see. It's like, well, I saw a lot of boots in your store, and they should see some of the variety. And I know those were custom, but you can do custom. You can do a lot of.
Yeah, so, I can definitely get some stuff, and if you have something unique you want, I can definitely I order it. So I mean we get tons of stuff. So it's an important part of the business just so they can stuff I have. I want to be the person that can get you what you want if I don't have it.
Now, like talking about like the different styles of boots, the different styles of like shirts, pants, things like that. Of course, you know. Speaking of elephants, the elephant in the room though about these hats though, my man. So. Of course, you know, right now it's a little bit colder and things like that. We was talking about that earlier about, you know, felt hats are kind of the thing, of course, you know. But when it starts warming up, straw hats, palm leaf, things like that, that's all going to be coming back in style. Now, and I'm sure you carry a crazy selection, you know, to try to fill all of those needs. Now, how custom can you get as far as the hats? Now, like as far as like what all can you do at your store? Can you, like if I say you had this hat, and I'm like, hey, it fits great, I love it. But I want it more Dwight Yoakam style. I want this pulled down a little bit, maybe bring sides up a touch, you know, things like that. Yep. Can you do that there?
I can. I don't consider myself an expert shaper, but I've shaped many hats for over 9.5 years. Probably
I mean, that is an art form.
It is. There are people that are really good at it, and I don't want to take away from what those guys do. They know what they do. There are people that do it for them.
Now, are you the only one that does it there? Or?
So no, I try and encourage everybody there to just to try to just try it.
Right.
Because some people take to it, some people don't, and if they don't, I try to do my best in pushing away from forcing them, because a lot of times if they're nervous about doing it, they're not always.
Now, do you
they're
trim
doing
and
it.
everything?
I mean, I don't necessarily trim. I don't like to trim myself. Again, I'm not an expert. I technically have.
I got you.
I can do it.
I got
If
you.
you really want me to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I would.
Are you starting with a mold or a hat that's already molded?
Yeah,
though?
absolutely, for the most
Okay.
part. Now, brim wise, I can shape it pretty much any way you want. The crowns are pretty much going to be the way they go.
Right.
I can order blanks, so if you want me to just sort of have from scratch, I can order.
I got you.
And we can work with that. But for the most part, I order hats in a shape, and I try to have a wide variety. I mean, if you look at our wall, I know it's Jones look at it. So I think I try to carry as much as I can just to give different looks.
He had a turquoise cowboy hat there, and
Yeah.
I know I mentioned it. I loved it.
Yeah.
It just caught my eye, and I was like, I want it just to happen. Like,
Sure.
But like in that same like cowboy hat aspect, like with the different styles, like is it just preference? I mean, is it just whatever anybody kind of wants to wear in a sense, or do you find it's like, okay, maybe this style of cowboy is going to wear this kind of hat, or vice versa, things kind of like that?
Yes, both of those things. So I definitely think there are trends created by certain, like a bronc rider might wear a certain style,
Right.
or a bull rider might wear a certain style. But once those become so mainstream, I think everybody starts wearing them.
Right.
Like the crown on yours is a very new, pretty modern thing. I would say. I know you wouldn't have saw that, 10 plus years ago.
Right.
So it's pretty cool to experience that, and watch people, young guys be able to do something different and bring it to a modern and popular look.
Well, you see the round top a lot too.
Yeah, that's kind of what you got there. But some people just leave them. I've seen a lot of people just leave them
Exactly.
just completely, and that's interesting to me. It's not my personal favorite look, but I think I have a couple hats that are just like that.
See, like my big palm leaf hat, like it's more round at the back and then more shaped in the front.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's a real wide, flaring style cowboy hat.
Yeah, yeah.
But it always seemed like for me, like the bigger the hat, it almost looked better for me. I don't know if it's just because of the shape of my face, beard, or what. But
Yeah.
it's always seemed like bigger the hat, bigger the glasses, it always kind of looked better. You know.
That's you have to try a hat on. That's the other part of it is each hat is really, everybody has a hat that looks best for them.
Right.
And once you go in there and put on a hat on, you kind of see the one you're like that. I think that's the hat too.
you all taught me, like, because of how naive I am. I was like, do you sell feathers? And you guys are kind of like, and it's like, and you said yes, and I was like, okay, cool. But you said that you actually go get your own feather typically.
Yeah, if you want a feather, most people find their feather. Yeah, absolutely. It creates a personalization to you. It gives you your own flair.
When you told me that, it was just so funny because I've been hunting, I've done that, and it's like I've come across and got a feather before, and I was just like, man, only I had a hat to put it in. And then when you said that, it all came full circle. I'm like, well, no duh, probably the way it happens for real. But like that, the other flair that we were talking about was the Hat Man, and you said you had those there as well.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of people like to change them. Some people like to keep them toned to the hat, or other people want to have some extra in there. I think you said you like the turquoises in there, so you get
little silver, like on your hat, that coal look, and then you had that turquoise.
Yeah.
See, I like the beaded style.
Oh yeah, beaded is popular. Yeah, that's had a good run and still going. It kind of came back not that long ago. You didn't see a lot of beaded in probably 3-4 years ago, maybe a little longer.
See, whenever I was in the oil field, whenever we went to like Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Texas, like you saw a lot of those style bands, you know.
Yep.
And we would stop at little Western stores along the way, and it's like me and my buddies, like we always had to get them. You know what I mean? Because usually they're like pretty cheap. They're just kind of stretchy, but they work on everything.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's what I absolutely love. But I also like the height of them.
Yeah,
because they're a big, thick band, you know, and they would hold your feather and things like that, and that's always kind of the thing because, like talking about the feathers, of course. Yeah, I mean that was the thing. It's like when you got a cowboy hat, if you wanted the feather, you went and found your feather.
Right.
Most of the time, you know. And even like for me, like the feather that's in my cowboy hat at home, well, it's kind of an awesome story. But me and my grandma were going to church one day, and we were going down her driveway, and she spotted a feather in the road, and she stopped and got out and grabbed it, and it was a turkey feather, big old long turkey feather.
Yeah.
and she kept it in her van on my side my whole life. And she passed away here a couple years ago, and I have that feather, and I actually got it out of her van and I put it in my cowboy hat. Now my resistol hat at the house has that turkey feather.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where it's like it's the sentimental value of that.
Story. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's why that feather means so much. It's
Yep.
like everybody kind of has a story behind that, which is really cool. Because like like that old Chris Ledoux song. It's kind of one of those where it's like there's a lot of stories involved with the cowboy hat. Especially if it's a lifestyle choice to wear it all the time.
Yeah.
You can really kind of tell a lot about a person by how their hat is.
Absolutely.
It's incredible that way.
It tells a story. It does.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's your favorite country singer?
It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat King.
King George. That's
King
right.
George.
That's right.
I gotta place my heart for Garth Brooks as far as just a person that's got great energy.
Think
You can tell
think
he
he's
was
a real cowboy? You think he's a real cowboy?
I think he is.
You think he is?
I think he's real enough. Yeah. I think
he was ready for that question.
Oh,
He knew the
yeah,
right answer.
I know.
I like.
He
the
tried not
King.
to be for a minute.
It's all right. He's country in my place.
Hey,
In my heart.
exactly. It's one of those where it's like, I don't care who you are. You listen to Garth Brooks, you're turning country for a minute.
Right.
You're ready to go to a rodeo. You're ready to get wound up when it's time to get
I grew up on the King, and my dad was a big Brooks and Dunn's fan.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
that was the
I'm
best,
all about it.
That '90s country, man. They got
It's
Alan
hard to
Jackson,
beat.
Reba. You got. I will say, luckily, in recent times, I'm pretty happy to see a lot of like true sounding country guys come out of there.
Yes.
And there's some bigger guys like Luke Combs or Morgan Wallen that sound pretty
Yes.
good, or Chris Stapleton.
I was just going to say,
But then
yes.
there's got like Tyler Childers, and these guys are maybe not as big as yet as they need to be, but they're coming along, and it sounds great.
Yeah,
does,
Luke
yes.
Combs. Yeah, he's by far, as far as new age category, he's my favorite. I
Yep.
mean, hands down. Even that, I just saw my grandma this past weekend, and he's got that "Love You Anyway" song, and she has dementia, and so he just talks about how he would love this woman anyways, even though it breaks his heart,
Yep.
And that's, I'm not gonna lie, it brought me to tears.
Yeah.
I love my grandma, and it's like that something about country music. I know we joke about the tear in my beer and all that, and
Yeah.
she left me, but but it's one of those where I just feel like it has one of the deepest connections to people, and
Yep.
like if you are even raised a little country and you hear it, it's like there's a reason that you remember those artists.
Oh, for sure. It's amazing what music can do, just in general. Any kind of music. It has an effect on everybody,
Yep.
But yeah, speaking like of just like that country music and that country style, I don't know, it makes you feel something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
It
does.
always does. Just like talking like that, it's like talking about a Luke Combs song that's like, kind of like it brings those kind of emotions out in you, it brings you to tears and things like that. And then, on that same aspect, it's like, but you turn around and listen to another Luke Combs song
Yeah.
on the boat at the lake, and you're
Yeah.
drinking beer and having a good time, and
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 he's
it's
got it all. Yep.
yeah, and that's what's incredible just about that country style, western style, things like that, and
Yep.
you see, like my favorite genre now, as far as like in country, is red dirt.
Yep.
I'm a red
They're
dirt
huge,
fan.
yeah.
Oh, like me, that's
Coming up.
awesome. A little bit of outlaw country here and there is pretty
Yeah.
good too. You gotta get some jelly roll and stuff in there every now and then. The lax.
He's
But
coming up, man. He's playing on the radio even now. It's a pretty big deal.
Have you looked at the state fair to see if they're going to have any country stars?
Yeah, the big one they got, which I was very happy to see, was Lainey Wilson.
Yes.
That's huge.
that is massive.
That, and I bet you that will bring
Um,
some traffic your
That's going to
way.
be sold out. It's probably worth more than they're going to sell tickets for. To be honest,
Exactly.
That's what they need to do more often. Too. Something I frustrated thing that I have when I don't know how easy it is. I'm not inside that building being able to pick these
Mhm.
concerts. I'm sure there's a level of who can we come to the concert with size and stuff. But something I've always complained about is I think that they just have not put enough people know. And I get that it's never going to be massive stars until we get a big brand stand. But they need to. Lainey Wilson is on the cusp of a superstar.
For sure.
She's right there.
Yes.
If not already considered that.
Yeah.
And there are people that they need to grab like that every single time. I remember a few years ago we got Florida Georgia Line really right before they blew up.
Exactly.
And then they blew up that year right before it even got to the fair, and it was absolutely a massive deal. And The more they do that, the more people will be happy with what's there.
They did get Rascal Flats one year too, I think. didn't they?
Yeah, I mean,
it was a while back.
It probably a while back. I mean, they had what Trace Atkins last year was pretty cool to see. I mean, some of those classic guys. I think that's awesome. They need a few of those in there too. I mean, if you look at the '90s, I go back all the time, and the '90s were just 10 days of knockouts.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since we've had that, and I think it would be awesome to see get back to that. I know there's probably some money and some changes that got to happen, and I hope they do.
Well, I just wish that the Missouri State Fair could compete a little bit with Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we could just compete a little bit with Iowa, it would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know?
I will say the Iowa State Fair is in Des Moines, which is the city in Iowa.
Oh, it is.
So because of the size of it, they can bring so many dollars there.
Yeah.
So the grandstand there is way bigger. But Iowa State Fair lineup incredible.
Now,
every year.
How does business? I mean, how does the State Fair affect business? I mean, is it pretty wild?
It's like a second Christmas. Yeah,
I bet.
It is. Outside of Christmas, it's the single most important time of the year for us. I mean,
Right.
it's what keeps us going. Honestly, when you got Christmas, you got fair and rodeo.
Well, people are going to want to look sharp. You're going out.
Yeah,
You're going to go. You're going to go to the. And not only are you going out, a lot of them go out all day, and that's the one time to cut loose.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine.
It's very agriculture based. I mean, most people come to the fair showing animals. It's big. It's a big ag expo. It's really all it is.
That's really exactly.
And that's they wear what we sell. So,
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people come in the store. It makes me very happy to hear them say it. They're just like, we don't have a store like you anywhere near us. I think we're a little blessed in the area for how far you have to drive to get to the next one, right? 45 minutes.
Right.
You know, I mean, you can go to. There are other ones, but I mean, there are other great Western stores. Very.
Now, have you thought of the idea of in the future expanding?
Yes, I mean, yeah, I think about it pretty frequently. I even recently, I've been with our shopping center. I've communicated with them about it, and we'll see where that goes. I hope that it goes somewhere, but
Right.
we'll see if we can come to an agreement on what we do with that. It's a little bit bigger location. That would be it's about 40% more space than we have now.
Yeah,
you
oh,
could
for
feel
sure.
it.
Yeah, we could, and we could fill most of it with what we have now. But
no
but
doubt.
we could get to that few more brands that I want to add, and I would be happy to have that.
Now, with you kind of being the man here for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, so 4.5 years
Or
for owning it. Yeah, my dad passed about 4.5 years.
Gotcha. Now, what have you made any like big changes? I mean, since you've kind of taken over. I mean, anything that's noticeable?
Yeah, I mean, I think brand wise, I've updated a little bit. I brought in a few more brands. My dad was definitely a slow to move on brand kind of guy. You know, these lifestyle brands come in. I mean, the Hueys, the Red Dirt World, got your shirt that there. I mean, there's more even than that. We've done what we tried to do to bring that in. That's my biggest contribution thus far to the ownership stuff. Like I said, once we expand, I have goals. Other brands I want to bring in, and I hope that happens.
I fell in love with this shirt myself, mostly because just like the stylistic art on the back. Because like I said, I'm not a cowboy, sadly. But that being said, it's like I have days where it's like I'm gonna listen to country. I'm gonna wear my blue jeans and my boots and stuff. And it's like it's nice to have that kind of shirt that you can kind of put on to fit the mood. So. Both, I know the Red Dirt shirts that I saw there. I loved them. Like I was on the debate, which one do I want? Which one?
Yep. Yeah. No, the best part about Western, at least the way we see it in our area, Midwest, not really as a whole, is it almost has become mainstream, right? I mean, how many times do you see a guy come in with an Ariat shirt or a Nike shirt? It feels like to me, I see as many people wearing Ariat shirts as I do Nike shirts walking around.
I tell you what, I see more
Hoodies.
of anymore, and I don't know if it's just because I'm looking for it or anything, but it's like the Time
Yeah,
Ranch.
Times is big.
That
Yep.
is huge.
Yep.
That's insane.
That's something I'm already in talks to add, and that would be probably my next brand I'm bringing in.
There you go.
So I mean that'll be a nice advance for us. But Kimes has got big, just like Red Dirt's gotten big. These are what I would consider lifestyle brands more than like they're not bringing anything. I mean, they're unique in what they're branding, but they're just really just something cool for people to see. It's neat hats, neat shirts, people stuff people want to wear and show off.
Exactly.
It's not so bland. It's typical, like new and exciting.
And the nice thing about it too, I mean, with a lot of those styles and stuff nowadays, I mean, it's good for any time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you can wear it anytime, anywhere. It looks nice regardless. You
Yeah.
know, it's like you could wear something just to go out on an afternoon,
Yeah.
and it looks just as nice if you wore it to church.
Yep.
You know, I mean, that's the cool thing about that style of fashion.
Oh,
But you know, one thing that I do want to kind of hit on, you know, and John kind of spoke on it a little bit earlier too. You know, is just about like customer service, things like that. You know, how y'all try to go above and beyond to really help everybody. You know, if you don't have it, you're going to order it. You'll try to get it in. You know, you're really kind of trying to see what everybody wants, what everybody's wearing. You know, trying to kind of keep updated with all of that. But what I'm wondering is, with that kind of work ethic, with that kind of salesmanship attitude and things like that, where did you develop that? Was that just, I mean, did you develop that from learning from your dad and from your grandma? I mean, was that kind of an aspect?
So my dad and grandmother were incredible people. You know, they talked to the bag.
Right.
So yes, I would say I
A
learned
lost art is what that is.
It is. I'm not as good as they are at it, and I never probably will be, and that's okay. They were amazing. The people that's probably my favorite part about running the business is the people that can come in and talk to me. A lot about my grandpa. I mean, my dad wasn't here as much as he was like, but just keeps her alive in a way. Just
Right.
because people love her, and it's pretty neat. But really, where I probably learned it on a personal experience level was I grew up in a restaurant. Lake, I worked at a fine dining restaurant.
Oh yeah.
Finalized.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I started as a busser there, and by the end, I was actually the assistant manager there. So I did everything in that restaurant from bus to wait. I was expediting, and then I became
Wow.
the manager of it. I did a little bartending, but I was 21 when I became manager, so I mainly bartended as rather than bartending. But that just in how talking to people from different positions, that growth is really where I learned. I would say I spent 7 years in restaurants work.
Right. Well, and you know, I mean, and you can definitely tell because I mean, a lot of your help is younger help.
Oh yeah, it is. And that's just I think the retail reality.
Right.
Most people that are coming in are. I hate to tell people it's just not going to be a career, right? Well, I get a lot of college kids, a lot of high school kids, a lot of second jobs, part-time stuff like that, and I'm fine with that. I mean, a lot of kids start a job just as much as anybody else, and I appreciate those young guys coming in and trying to do the best they can.
Right.
Well, and maybe I'm stereotyping a little bit, but it is one of those where in the Western or country world, if you're going to go work at a Western store, you kind of have a sensibility of how this person's work ethic would be.
Yeah.
It's like if they're going to seek out that job,
Yeah.
odds are it's like they've had to do some farm work, some hand work.
Mhm.
They've had to chop some wood, this, that, or the other. And I mean, anybody can work there, but it's probably one of those where the people that actually come apply,
Yeah.
they're good kids, you know.
Generally, yeah, you're absolutely right, and I try to pick those out of the group too when I'm curating who I'm hiring. I try my best to find people on the team like this. That's important. When people walk in, I want them to feel comfortable telling somebody what they do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and they're very sociable. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
nice thing about it. You know, they can
Yeah.
all talk. They'll look at you. You know, I mean, it's like John said, it's a lost art
Yeah.
nowadays. You know, and I mean, and you see it so many places now. You know, where customer service is almost non-existent.
You're right.
You know, and it makes for a bad customer experience. You know, when you go to a place like that. You know, but it's the exact opposite at your place, which is so refreshing because you walk in there and it's like everybody's friendly, everybody's happy to see everybody. You know, and it's kind of one of those where, you know, like us not knowing you like super well, you know, it's like, well, I always thought you were kind of quiet, you know, and stuff like that, you know, but then getting to know you, it's like, oh yeah, no, you're outgoing, you'll talk. I mean, it's amazing, it's awesome, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody told me it's like with cell phones, it's like we can text to the moon, call to the moon, but we can't have a conversation with somebody right next to us. And I think some of that comes from the lack of old school labor.
Yep.
Like we said about being a ranch hand. Well, here's the thing: if you had a problem, you had to go find the person and tell them what the problem was.
Yeah.
You couldn't just be like, "Well, come look" all the time. It's like you might have had to ride across the ranch. You don't have time to go there and back. You need to communicate. You need to be able to tell them, "Hey, we have cattle out on this park because the fence went down, whatever it may
Right.
be.
Yeah, communication's a little different now than it was then, for sure.
Right. Now, one thing that we always kind of ask everybody too, and it's always been a curiosity for me, is just advertising in general. How much of that do you really try to like think about? As far as like whether it's radio ads, TV ads, podcasts like us. I mean, how much do you really think about a lot of that nowadays?
Oh man, I should probably be better at it than I am. I think the social media side, I lean on people that want to help me in that more than I do. I do not personally spend a ton of time on social media for myself. It's not something I think is important to me in the way
Mhm.
that it is other people in today's society. So
Right.
I think that is a place to lack. I do try and have my name out there on the air, radio wise. I have some billboards coming in from the south side on 5. I have one up in Texas. And then kind of just somewhere between Knob and Mont and west. That's a little bit there. So I think those billboards have something big. Hey, now west, south, and then I mean I've done TV in the past, and that was interesting. I had a commercial. I actually got a fair, better than I thought turnaround for that. 'Cause, I mean, it was kind of aired in the Columbia area. A lot of
Oh, really?
TV stations kind of piece of that are the city. We had a number of people who come in from that. That's a little more expensive, and I kind of have pursued that more. I don't. I think people were noticeably loud telling me about it, but I don't know that I got it.
Right.
But
Right.
but obviously marketing is I don't I don't underestimate value.
Right. Now, are you kind of controlling all of that? Is that all the marketing's all on you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I do my best to communicate with people, and I have a lot of people that I've worked with that come in and present the opportunities that they have for me, and I try to go through that. Yeah, showcase tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve, that's a nice little flyer to put out there. So I mean, anything from paper to radio to billboards, I try to do a little bit of everything.
Well, it's amazing, just talking about like Showcase tell you how well that actually
Yeah.
with that advertising magazine. I mean, it is really incredible. And Steve actually just come to the store the other day and talked to us, and it's awesome, really kind of looking through there, because of course we used it at DNC, you used it, and
Yep.
almost everybody there at that Thompson Hill Shopping Center uses that,
Yeah,
and
they
I mean,
do.
and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I mean, people see it, especially if it's coupon things like that.
Yeah, they look for that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you don't have one in there, because they know that there are some in there, they're still going to flip through and see what you got in there, and they see your name, and that means something too.
Oh, for sure. And I like that, because to me, it's still kind of old school.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
it is,
I
yeah.
like that, like the old like ad tracker and stuff. Like back in the day, it's like everybody used to grab those things back in the day.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, that was just kind of how you check things out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Sure.
I'm still old school that way. It's like I'll still grab that stuff if I see it.
Yeah.
All right, I got a one for you.
Okay.
All right, now product wise, all right, because your boots got me thinking.
Okay.
Now belt buckles, was polo ties. Now I know some of that stuff can have a hefty price tag.
Some of it, yeah.
What do you think? What? Because you typically I'd ask, what is the biggest expense for a store? Because we've done a lot of these food stores or coffee shops,
Yeah.
and they've been open about that, and that's really cool. So I'm gonna take it in a different direction. What is probably the most expensive item you've had to sell to somebody, like custom? I'm just curious. Like, 'cause,
Yeah.
like I'm thinking, like, oh, did somebody order a belt buckle with some diamonds in it, or like, or a bolo with something in it? I don't know.
I mean, really, a lot of I haven't done a lot of the custom stuff in that aspect. I mean, the most expensive thing I've sold has definitely been I've sold a $700 boot,
Oh, wow.
which I mean they can get more expensive than that, but I try to keep a pretty good price on things. So things you're gonna find from me,
Yeah, and I definitely
might
saw
end up
that.
cheaper than somewhere else.
Right.
But yeah, no. It's definitely gonna be some sort of boot, and it's usually gonna be exotic. It may be unique. A lot of times, like a $700 boot, I order for somebody, right? It wasn't you walk to the store and buy them from somebody else. Like someone else is gonna have to come find that specific thing, and then I can get it. But you're not walking around town looking like everybody else. So it's pretty neat to be able to give that experience to people. In a smaller town, just something unique to them. That
Now,
I can
is
provide.
there? I don't know if it would just be the flare
Mhm.
or like bolo tie. Is there a lot of men's jewelry or female jewelry in Western wear that I'm unaware of? Like, is there rings or you got to have to
Yeah.
educate me.
No, so I mean, in women's for sure. I mean, big turquoise pieces are really popular right now. Just big jewelry is going to come back to that. It kind of went small for a while. Now it's big, loud again. And guys have changed, and they, a lot of crosses, a lot of other things like that. I think it's kind of a. I think just being, the religious stuff is very important. The kneeling cowboy is been one of the iconic Western, silhouettes we'll ever see. It that is important to guys more than it is. But there's not a lot of other guy jewelry, I guess, I've noticed that's super popular. I think the clothing talks a lot.
Now, do you do spurs?
I don't personally do spurs, no. I do I get requests for it? Yeah, I don't think I have a great way to display it. It's one of those things I kind of leave to people that have them. So,
Yeah, that's fair.
right.
I was curious.
yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah.
As far as like for around here, who do you think is your biggest competition?
I mean, if you're wanting in town, I mean, it's definitely Family Center. I mean, they have an absolute massive store. And they carry a pretty wide selection of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really the only competition I have in town. And once you get outside of that, I mean, it's got to be Fine Schmidt. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. They've been there a long time too, and they've done a great job of building their business as they have. So I mean that's still an hour and a half round trip from us. I mean,
Yeah.
we still.
Well, when we talked to Chris, because he worked at SC Fuel, and a lot of people always thought like, oh, because it's competition per se. It's like, well, there's individuality too.
Sure.
And it's like competition can be a really good thing because coming into your store, like I said, I've been to other stores, I've walked in, but man, it was just like going into a whole nother world to me.
Yeah.
And this is somebody like that isn't, like I said, I'm not a cowboy, so when I go into that environment, I can almost feel like, yep, this is right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, this is right. This is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So if that's the feeling I get and I go somewhere else and I don't get that feeling, well, that means a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I try to cater to what I think is, well, not what I think. I mean, I look at sales to understand what I'm selling. So it's easy for me because I know what people have been trending and buying in Sedalia. You go to Boot Barn, Cavender's, they're the same store if you go to one in Texas or one in Springfield.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Was there ever like a celebrity moment that drove up something? Or something
In our store, I mean, not that I've experienced. The only person, Colt Ford did it. It was at the fair. I don't know, at some point in time. That was the only one that I've seen come in my store. And Colt Ford was an interesting guy to have come in the store. I actually didn't know who it was until after he left, and someone had told me that it was him. I was like, oh, really? So I mean, I don't think it drew a whole bunch for me, but that was neat to know that he was there.
Wow.
Just experiencing that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think about that like that like Walker's Texas Ranger. The brown iconic jacket he had.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, I bet whenever he had that show, that was like the jacket to have.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think in Yellowstone, Rip's got that black jacket, and I don't know how many people ask that thing. And I don't really
That's
have.
what I was kind of going to. Like,
Exactly, yeah.
That's what's happening.
I don't have that exact thing. I think I've got some stuff coming this next fall that could kind of fit that mold maybe a little bit. I think these big companies are like, all right, we can jump on this. So maybe we'll see some coming this next fall, but that would definitely. I think Rip has definitely been the guy people.
Without a doubt,
have wanted to mimic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now, as far as like being a business owner and everything like that, and having all the responsibilities that you have, and things like that, with business in general, how do you define that? Like what? How do you sleep at night? You know what I mean? Like what? Like when you go to bed, it's like, all right, I'm happy about that.
Yeah. So what I look at my business, some people might see it as small, or maybe they don't see everything they want there. Maybe there's a brand they're like, they need to get that or that, and in that all that criticism I hear, and I can understand that. But the important thing for me is I want to be the person that has a premium product that people can come to and trust that they're not getting ripped off or getting someone getting hacked. It's important to me to know that people in this town, I understand we're all working for the same dollar, and that I'm not trying to be close. I sell an product, never going to look, but
Right.
I promise you that there are many other places to purchase, and I feel that is the best thing, is that I'm able to provide you something that someone else is selling more to you, that I can make a living for me and my family off not charging the same amount.
Yeah.
And that means something to me. And I think they recognize. Look, you compare prices. It's very rare.
Exactly. And you know what? And I think the thing that plays along with that too is the customer service. What you send it to. You know, because it's one of those. Even like for me, it's like, oh, if I go to the store and I'm happy to be there, and you know what I mean, and I feel like I'm welcome and things like that, and you're willing to help me, and you're there to answer my questions, and you can answer my questions.
Yeah.
You're knowledgeable and things like that. It's like, yeah, I don't care what the price is.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because it's like that. It's like, well, knowledge isn't free.
Right.
You know what I mean?
People forget that.
People forget that.
True.
And that's the nice thing about it too, because you know, like of course, when we ask people, it's like about like future business plans and things like that. Expansion always kind of the key word. You know, a lot of people want to expand things like that.
Yep.
You know, I always get worried about expansion to an extent of like, are you going to lose that customer service value? You know, the thing that like because like that's what makes your store unique. You know what I mean? Because there's a million Western stores.
Yeah.
But why is yours special? You know what I mean? And for me, it is the knowledge that's there.
Right.
You know, and it's amazing because it's wonderful knowledge on your end, but you're transferring that over to young people, and they're very knowledgeable at a young age. You know, and it's a rarity in today's world for people to be that passionate, you know, and that knowledgeable about certain things, and have that kind of sensibility to know that, you know, too, which is awesome to me.
Yes.
You know, and I always worry about like with expansion, you know, it's like, you know, how can you control it everywhere?
Yeah.
You know, that's always the word.
I mean, that's the reality of expansion. I mean, you're gonna have to understand when that happens. Do your best to do everything you can to not let that customer experience really to fade. And I would, in any kind of expansion I do, I would try everything I can to make sure that it's something important to me. I'm not a big pushy guy. When people come in, I'm like, someone wants to shop, you know, I'm gonna like that's some people
Right.
just like experience it's a lot.
Oh,
So sometimes
exactly.
I don't just want someone to help.
Yep.
So, but I want everybody to walk in the door to be known that we know they're there and we're willing to walk in. And that from that experience, that will never change, no matter how big we get. Everybody that walks in the door.
Exactly, and we take a lot of pride in it too, because we always kind of call it the same thing. We call it the high five. Before you walk 5 steps in this door, we're saying hi. We're
Yes.
acknowledging you.
Yes.
You know, we want, even if we're busy, we're gonna make sure that
The
you
high-
know, exactly
just
that
the
you know that we know you're in there.
Right.
You know,
I
kind
think
of
that's
thing.
important. It is. Yeah.
Well, brother, this hour has flown by.
Man, that's crazy.
It's
We didn't get into anything yet.
It always feels that way.
It always goes
It
that way.
always feels that way. But it was just such a privilege to get to talk to you, man. I learned a lot. You taught me a lot. You know, maybe cowboy life's in my future.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, there
That's
you
right.
go.
Yeah, we'll get you looking good.
There you
Exactly.
go.
He gets a hat now. He's a cowboy.
Yeah,
You know?
that's right, yeah.
As we all are
I'm
now.
gonna
You
be
know.
I'm gonna be out looking for a feather all day tomorrow.
Exactly.
But yeah, what a great time to get to know you. We appreciate you so much for coming on.
Yes, Kyle.
And,
Thank you so much, my man. We appreciate it.
We're gonna put at least your address in the description. If you have a website, we'll make sure to put it in there as well. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, let's say where can they reach you at?
Yeah, I mean, so they can get us at we got a phone number. You call us. We got there. The hours were open 9 to 8 through Monday through Friday. We got 9 to 6 on Saturdays and 11 to 5 on Sundays. We're open every day of the week.
Gotcha.
Phone number 660-826-2220. Willing to help and with anything we can help you with. Let us know what we can do.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. You heard it there. So, like I say, give Kyle a call. Go in there. Check out the store. It's Jeans, Boots, and Hats located here in Sedalia. It's right there at the Thompson Hill Shopping Center. Phenomenal store. It's overwhelming, the amount of stuff that you have in there. It is absolutely incredible. I mean, you could spend all day. It's awesome. It's awesome. But like I say, we want to thank you again for coming on. It was absolutely amazing. We'll definitely have you back on. We got a lot more to discuss. We're going to talk future business and stuff on that as well. We just want to thank our sponsors again. We want to thank Steve at Showcase Sedalia, Brian at GNC, and Bob and Amy there at Forever 10. We just want to thank all of them guys. They do a wonderful job for us. We couldn't do it without them. We want to thank all of our subscribers, and please give us a like. Leave us some comments. If you have any questions, let us know. All of your likes, dislikes, let us know. Leave some comments.
Yep, we're gonna end it the same way we always do. We're gonna aim our 6-shooters at the camera. All right. See y'all later.
Who are you?